What is up, everybody? Welcome. It is a couple sleeps away from Jones Beach 70.3, 2024. Just been compiling a bunch of things that I just want to get off and get out there. A lot of good questions coming in this week for some first timers, some veterans of this distance. So this video is going to be good to just throw out there, and it will live in the internet, and the it'll go into the server on here, and I can reference it in the future. Yeah, there's some course specific stuff just specifically for this race, but this could also just be a good video to have on file for people that when they come forward to do 70.3 in the future. So right now I'm filming this. It's Wednesday night. It's a Saturday race, right? So we got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday coming up. Three sleeps, we like to call it, before race day. And tonight is a good night tonight. We should try and get a good night's sleep. This is one of the important ones. This is a couple nights out. You should be kind of basically, the work should be done already. Maybe a small taper run coming up. Maybe a small short swim. Could be on course depending where the course is. And that should be really the gist of what's left for you right now. Is just be trying to feel loose, managing stress everywhere else in your life as best as you can. And your bike should be ready, rack ready. Transition lists should be done. You should have been working on that through training or through your shorter races. And it's going to be the same type of transition as your local races, the dirty transition we like to call it, where all your stuff gets laid out by your bike. And fueling, right? Fueling and eating as we did in training. And I get a lot of questions like, what do you do for race day? Race week, what are you eating? What I did for my peak weeks, don't overcomplicate it. This is something you learn over time. We're going to be training less over the past week and a half, 2 weeks. If you're just kind of eating the same, fueling the same, your reserves and your stores, your glycogen levels are going to start to go up. You're not going to be in that depleted state all the time. You may actually kind of gain a couple pounds and feel kind of bloated, and but you got to keep eating, even if the appetite starts to suppress a little bit because you're not stoking that fire every day with these hard workouts. That's fine. You just got to keep fueling, keep moving ahead, and get those stores up. Thursday comes along. Maybe you're going to check in, athlete check in, maybe a quick little shakeout run. I like to hit the expo as early as I can, especially if I'm traveling to a race. You can be on your feet a lot, so you want to get there. That's why I'm going to do it Thursday, go mingle around, get some shopping done, hit an athlete briefing. Make sure you read the guide as well before you get there in case you have any questions or anything like that, but most of them should be answered in that, kind of like anything about the course, what's on the course nutrition wise. But the athlete briefing is very good, a lot of good information there. Even if you're a veteran racer, it's always good to hear from the race director and just be part of the whole thing down there. You should understand the event by now, of course, by this point, again, reading all that. But here's a tip: bring water and a snack to you if you go to the expo, just because, you might be on your feet a little longer than you anticipated, and that's not really cool because we've been fueling all week. You don't want to enter a state of dehydration because you were walking around too much, especially if it's warm out or anything like that at your expo. And enjoy it. And then Thursday night, 2 sleeps before, but this is really the main one. Really focus on getting a good night's sleep. It's critical. This is like the sleep before the race, basically. This is where you put that energy in the bank. So shut it down early, meditate, unwind, shut that phone off. Try and put those life stressors away. Hopefully you're off the day before the race, work-wise. And this is really the critical sleep. Just remember that. Friday comes along, right? Friday before, rack the bike. Kind of be quick there. You should have had everything done Thursday. It's easy to get sucked in, especially a local race, and walk around all day, spend time. And again, if you're going to be down there for a little bit of time, plan ahead, bring something. Bring a drink, bring some water. If you're doing your little shakeout swim or anything like that, get it in. And then when you rack your bike, a couple tips: tire pressure. I'd like to top them off in the morning. I always do before my rides. I never fill them up really to top the night before. You can bring your own pump. There will be some pumps provided for you in transition. But just remember, if you bring your own pump in there, a lot of people are going to be asking you for it. If you're trying to kind of get your things going, and you're trying to walk out with it, people are just going to keep asking you for it. And you like to be a nice person, so you might be hanging around for a while, helping people pump their tires and things like that. So just remember, consistency. Get your tires pumped up where you need. If you're dropping it off on Friday, be careful if it is at a race site. We won't have this problem really this week here, but if it is extremely hot out and you rack it early in the day and you top it off to the pressure, or maybe a little extra because you think it might, lose some overnight or something like that, the heat may actually overinflate your tire during the day, and you have the potential to blow a tire out the day you rack your bike. So I always remember the morning of, that's just me. I like to get my tires to pressure the morning of the race. I don't keep anything on my bike the night before. No computers, no nutrition, no nothing. Maybe just my flat tire kit if it's in the bento box or something like that. But none of my add-ons and stuff, the stuff I would use at the beginning of a ride on the weekend, I don't leave anything in it. And what's the forecast? Is it raining? You'll see people put all kinds of things over their bikes, covering stuff. Just remember, even last year's monsoon, I left my bike out. I don't believe I covered anything electronics wise. I have electronic shifting and power meters and all that. Remember, that stuff is supposed to be water resistant and handle you riding through rain and storms and stuff. So it should be good. Again, anything can happen. Covering seats and stuff like that from water, is that really necessary? Because you're going to be putting a wet ass on there after you get out of the swim and out of your wetsuit. So just kind of, don't overdo it. If you want to wrap anything on the handlebars, maybe use like food wrap, saran wrap. That keeps it nice and tight. If you put bags on there, they just blow around. And Ironman, can take things off your bike like that if they deem that it's causing a hazard in transition overnight. So think about those things as well. If you're really crazy, actually, I'm not even going to get into it. If you're that worried about your aero bars and the electronic shifters on there, throw me a message and I'll let you know what I'm thinking of that'll protect it from the rain. But anyway, get some sleep. That night as best you can. I mean, the second half of the day, you got to relax. It's the night before the race. It's natural. Even if you've done this before, just be excited for it. All that work you've put in, you got a big day the next day. You may not sleep. You may not sleep at all. You're probably going to sleep like crap. And if you track your sleep like I do on my Garmin, the night before, you're going to wake up, it's like body battery 30. You're like, this is going to be a great day. But it's really the sleep before, those couple nights before, that really recharge your system. And it's just like waking up early on a weekend. That's why we train early on the weekends. We get up, we get it done, and that's the name of the game. So try your best. If you sleep like crap or don't sleep at all, guess what? Just about a lot of people are doing that too, so you're not the only one. Get up early, especially if you're not going to really sleep that well. Get something in your belly, start hydrating, start moving around, getting the blood flowing. Don't overhydrate. Take those electrolytes as well during the week of the race. Mix in some electrolytes. Don't overhydrate yourself. That can actually be a problem if you don't have if you're not putting electrolytes in your system. You could actually flush out some of the electrolytes that you have in your body. So mix in some electrolytes throughout the day. Again, moderation. Do what you do during training. If that's something you did during training during the week, and when you were peaking and all these miles, taking in some extra electrolytes, then do it. Do it now. Don't change it the week of. We don't want anything new the week or day of race day. So again, eat something, arrive early, stress-free, avoid rushing, get that parking spot. You can always hang out in your car, veg, listen to music, 20 minutes, put the seat back, just chill, vibe out a little bit, start getting mentally prepared. Get to transition and set up, walk yourself through it, get your stuff laid out, get your tires pumped up, and just sit there for a couple minutes and visualize yourself. Okay, I'm going to the swim, getting out of the swim, I'm getting on my bike. Is everything laid out? Helmet, shoes, socks, whatever order you're going to do everything, just go over it. All right, coming back in, racking my bike, helmet off, shoes off, getting those shoes on, good, and I'm out. Just visualize that a few times, make sure you're all set. And then also take a look around. Just visualize where swim exit is, where you're entering transition, where your bike exit's going to be, where your bike entrance is going to be as you're coming into T2, and then where your run out is. Just know where all these things are. Know where your rack is in relation to other things. Is it the fifth rack up on the right coming out of the swim by the garbage can? Just visualize things as well, just so you don't have to go looking for your number. I've been turned around early on with races, and, you're spending time just kind of looking for your stuff, kind of starting to panic. No need for that. Just prepare yourself ahead of time. Think about everything, visualization, and take it all in. Enjoy it. So then it's time to get going. Get your stuff together for the swim start. Again, you see bathrooms, hit the bathrooms as much as you can. Do what you can, get it out. Head to the swim start. You may want to, head over to your swim corral. Maybe bring a bottle of Poland Spring. Maybe you got a little carb mix in there. Bring a gel. Something you can sip on. Even if your nerves are a little tensioned right now, just try and get a little something in before the swim. You could be sitting there for a while with a large start if you're further back in the swim corral. And then here, estimated swim time. What do you think you got? If you think you're a 42, 43-minute swimmer, maybe just bump up a few minutes. If you're a good, consistent swimmer, you can get in and just keep stroking the whole time from start to finish. And you're not worried about taking too many or any breaks or anything, or doing, the backstroke to break. Seed yourself just a tad faster. That'll allow you to settle in, jump on the heels of some people, maybe get some drafting in, let that work for your advantage while you're out there. And that's how you should plan that. If you're, a swimmer that's going to be in the back of the pack more, again, just be confident in your ability. You should, know about your pace from your training, where you should be, and just get out there. You'd rather be pulled by swimmers than having to kind of swim around people because you seeded yourself too far back. But again, you don't want to seed yourself too far forward, thinking, I'll get into this race a little bit quicker, just because. You don't want people swimming over you because of your ability in the water. So it's tricky. People like to, be all over. It's not really true, but just do the best you can. It's a big swim course, and we'll go over some tips for the swim in a minute. So your time is up. You get there, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Head out, stay calm. Your heart rate may spike a little bit. That's fine. You're going to be excited the whole morning. Breathe. Find your space, find your rhythm, find a groove. Unless you're fighting for an age group spot or a podium, there's no need to fly out there full bore, get that heart rate jacked up, and then kind of be wishing you didn't do that. So find some space, find some room, find some water, ease into it. It may take you a couple 100 yards. And then finally, you're going to be like, all right, we got this. Let's settle in. Let's hit this first, and now chunk it down the course, this first 500 meters. My watch buzzes every 500 meters, so I know 5,000, 15, 2, we're at the home stretch right there. So I know I'm waiting for those 4 buzzes of just so I can kind of see how far I'm into the swim. And be smooth. If you're starting to feel the groove, you can move into the pack a little more. Try and find some feet, try and find some drafting, find somebody that you can kind of swim along with, and hopefully you'll have a good swim. Hopefully be uneventful. You get through it. You don't get knocked out too much. And again, if you're a good swimmer, you want to get in the mix a little more with the pack, you'll get a better swim, a little less swim distance. If you just kind of want to have an uneventful swim, which is kind of the majority, you can kind of stay off to the side a little bit. Don't go off too far because you don't want to swim extra or too much extra. You want to have the shortest distance around the swim course, but not at the the demise of running into too many people or having some issues in too big of a pack. So chunk it down, 500-meter increments. It's basically into quarters, because by that point you finish 2,000. You're going to be basically looking at the swim exit. And don't really think about much besides swimming. Worry about staying in the moment. Don't worry about what the day holds or what you're going to do out there. Once you hit that last 500, you cross past 1,500 on your watch. You should be headed towards the shore. Then you can start thinking about T1. Start thinking about, the rest of the race. Getting closer to shore, kick those legs a little bit if you don't use your legs much with the wetsuit. Get the blood flowing because you're going to go vertical in a little bit. So get the blood flowing down to the legs again. That's going to help you as you stand up and have to get through the water and run out. You'll already have some blood in those muscles and ready to go, and you'll kind of avoid some of those heart rate spikes because the blood is going to different muscle groups. And get out of the water. Smooth, head to transition. Pop those goggles up onto your swim cap if you have them on the outside. As you're getting out, that leaves you 2 hands. We always want to just kind of grab those off, goggles and cap, just to get it off because it's been on for a little while now. You may just be sick of it by now. But leave it on because you only have 2 hands. You can take your wetsuit down to your waist, get to transition, get to find where you need to be. And again, you have your hands free. You're not carrying anything or anything like that. Get there. As soon as you get to your spot, again, goggles, cap down, get that wetsuit off. And then do what you got to do. Just you visualize what you need to do in transition already. Get everything you need on for the bike. Helmet on before you touch your bike on the bike rack. As soon as you get that helmet on, buckle it, and then get that bike and get going. This will be the longer of the 2 transitions, but it doesn't need to last all day. Get what you need done, and then get out on the bike course. Know the bike course. This is going to be 2 loops, right? And know where the wind is coming. From the coached athletes here, you'll know that the day before because I'll post up a map and some tips on that as it changes. But this course specifically is 2 loops, and I would break it into 4 chunks. It goes north and south twice. I would break it up again into quarters. North, and south. And how do I break that up? We'll talk about that and why in a minute. But we got to start fueling. As soon as we get settled in, this race, we're going to cross over those quick little 3 overpasses. There may be some crosswind there, depending on the wind forecast. That's okay. Get settled in. Get over those bridges. But, as soon as you get the opportunity safely, start drinking, start fueling, maybe throw a gel in. Do the fueling plan that you've done on your long rides. Stick to it. You've been working with it, training with it. Do what you've been doing in training, and you'll be fine. And as you're going up, naturally, Long Island, because you're going north, you are slightly on a slight incline as you go north on Long Island. That's just the way it's not very big. You barely notice it at all, but it is, you're going above sea level. So you are leaving the water. You climb, not, I hate the word we're climbing, but you're headed north. Then you're going to hit the turnaround, which they'll discuss at the athlete briefing. It's a little slow it down at that turnaround. You should be flying the whole way. It's just point to point, basically, on each direction. Remember, fueling, ease in that first northbound loop. Be very careful on the turnaround. Make your turnaround. Come back south. You'll be headed towards transition on the first loop. Continue fueling. Continue the pace plan that's laid out. Continue that fueling. You're going to hit that halfway point. You're going to start heading north. This is the time to kind of assess, see how you feel. How many matches have we burned on this first loop? Do we feel good? Did we hold back a little bit and feel like we can push a little bit more on this? You'll have done the course. You'll have done the wind conditions. You'll kind of know where you can push, where you need to hold back, where you need to stay safe. And you're going to be able to do the loop again. Benefit about loop courses is you get to do the same thing over again, and you can learn from it and adapt any way you need and have kind of what's coming as you ride down. Remember the rules, drafting, don't get too close. They'll discuss all that at the briefing. Stay to the right, especially this course, very open, 3 lanes. There's no reason to be wandering in the middle and left lane if you're not passing anybody. Stay to the right. Watch the grates that are all the way on the right side, the drainage grates, and also on some of these spots on the parkway. If you're changing lanes to get around somebody, make sure you don't, there's a little groove in some of the concrete there. Make sure you don't just go over the groove kind of parallel to it because you can get your wheel kind of caught in there, and there was a couple of wrecks last year with that. You have to kind of cross on an angle if you're going over this groove, and you'll see it out there on the course. Just kind of be aware of that. Especially later in the course, start to kind of get a little tunnel vision towards the end of the bike course because you just want to be off the bike. That's the time you really need to pay attention. All right, on that second loop now, we make that last final turnaround and we're headed south. Last stretch of this bike leg here. Again, this is the important part. Continue your fueling strategy. Continue taking in the fuel that you need to do. Don't neglect it at this point because you will suffer on the run from it. Back into transition. We're heading. We're pushing what we can here. And this is the point. If you are a decent runner or have a run plan that you certain pace maybe you're thinking in your head that you can run this half marathon at, it's a fine line between fueling properly, saving a little bit on the bike so that you can have a good run. It's 13 plus miles, so think about that. Even at 30 seconds slower a mile because your legs were too jacked up on the run, you're going to be now adding 6.5 minutes about to your race time, and pushing that little bit extra on the bike maybe only have gained you 3 minutes or 4 minutes by pushing that much harder, and you did that much more damage to yourself on the bike course. Meanwhile, if you would have just cruised in a couple percentage less, maybe it's a 3 minute slower bike time. That's basically all you would have gained by maybe pushing that little extra percentage. You hit your pace plan and you had a great half marathon and maybe even ran a little faster than you thought you could have because you had such great legs, and you'll gain the time. Every good race, every good triathlon is ended with a good run. Trust me on that. So we're hitting those 3 bridges south. When you start seeing those 3 bridges on that final loop, as you're getting over these bridges, maybe start going into a slightly easier gear so you can spin up a little bit, less tension on your drivetrain for the last mile or two. That's going to give you a little higher cadence. It's going to help flush your legs out a little bit, and it's going to help you feel a little bit fresher when you get on the run. When you're getting to the dismount line, ease up, go into it nice and easy. We don't want any mess ups here. You want to get off your bike just as you did in training. If you like to do a flying dismount or leave your shoes on or whatever you've been doing in training, do on race day. If you want to practice anything else, you have all year next year to do that. Your legs may be wobbly a bit, so if you have these bike cleats on still, you get off with your cleats on. Just be careful as you have to take your steps. The concrete could be a little slippery with those cleats. Your legs may be a little wobbly because you've just been biking for a couple hours now. So just be easy when you got your bike. You want to get to the rack safely and have a good transition without having any issues. You're going to get there, rack your bike, helmet off, get that run stuff on. This should be a quick snap transition, especially if the weather's good and there's nothing really extra you need to put on layer wise. It should just be bike down, helmet down, cleats off, shoes on, and then grab your shit and get out. You can grab your glasses and hat and your race bib and just start heading out, putting your stuff on. Even if you got to walk to just start forward progress. Don't just sit there and make sure you have everything and I'm good. For these distance races and this type of transition, just grab your stuff. You don't need a whole lot. Whatever's right there for your run pile, get your shoes on, get your stuff, grab it, and start getting out of transition. It's free time, so get out of there. On to the run. So here we go. Out and back. We're going to break this into 4 chunks also for this course. We're going out to the turnaround and back, and we're going to do that twice. So again, we can break every one of these disciplines into quarters, and it'll mentally make things a little easier for you. Ease into that first mile. You might go out a little too hot, depending how much you saved on the bike or how excited you are for running. I like running, so sometimes I get out there and I'm a little mischievous on my first mile. It also depends on the temperature on race day. So versus what we've been training in. Maybe all of a sudden we had a really hot day and maybe we got to slow it down a little bit on this as opposed to some of our mileage that we were putting in race pace wise over the last few weeks. Or conversely, if it's been hot and humid and you head into a race day where it's a little cooler out, you may feel that much better headed out there. So we do have to adjust things on the fly depending how the temperature is that day. So it's basically going to be almost can treat it as like 4 or 5Ks with a little extra mixed in there. Want to ease into the first one, head it out. Again, keep fueling. Get something in you when you get to the aid stations. Have a plan. You should have a plan already based off of what you've been using now for your bikes, your runs, everything. You should know fueling-wise. And if you're, bonking in some of these races or the training, we've talked about it plenty of times before on the fueling strategies that we need to do and the amount we need to fuel. And we'll talk about some problems you might have if you cut your fueling too early on the run. So head it out, ease in, take what you need, head it back. You should have a sustainable pace at this point after that first turnaround. Keep fueling, settle in. You should start to kind of reassess at this point now on the run and say, is this something I think I can hold for the next, second half of this? You can hit your first 10K completed, headed around past transition again, and you should say, hey, did I, is this sustainable? Am I going to be able to keep this? Do I have to slow up a little bit to save a little bit for that last 5K? Or I'm feeling great. I'm going to keep fueling and let's go. Let's drop the hammer and it's game time. Know where the wind is as well on this course. There's a chance that it's going to be in our face in one of the directions. We'll discuss that the day before. If that is the case, like last year, we had a nice crosswind after we hit that turnaround. If you're running with somebody about your pace, get behind them. Let him meet some of the wind. Be a little strategic out there in what you're doing. You're allowed to draft people on the run, and it actually does help. You'll waste a little bit less energy going into a nasty crosswind if you can get behind somebody. Run the tangents. There's not many turns on this course, but if you have to make the turns, make the tightest turn you can as you go around. Be careful on the turns, especially the sharp turns, especially as your legs are fatigued. And all right, last leg now, coming back from that second turnaround. We're going to grind this out. We're going to stay fueled because at this point you can make that turn. You may be like, I just don't want any more liquid. I don't want another gel. Even though I had that last gel I'm supposed to take at this point. If that was your fueling strategy, I've made that mistake before, and then my run just slowly, you just started to crash energy levels. Force it in, especially if your stomach is still well, and you'll thank me later on that one and have a strong finish. So we're gonna grind that out. This is where you can just. I'm close to the end. You have a straight stretch to the finish line now. You got about a 5K left. I'm close to the end. Get it done. I like to visualize, so I like to break things down. When I'm at like that 10K point, I just think back at like local 10K races I've done, put myself in the moment, how I felt on those. In the grand scheme of things, 10K out of 70 miles is not a lot of the race, especially when you get down to the last 5K of the race. I run a lot of local running races. I can't tell you how many local 5Ks I've run just because I enjoy the pain. And I just think in my head like, man, let's get this done. You got 5K left. How many times have you hammered out one of these 5K races before? Let's go. Like, you got it in you. You do this for fun all the time. And, let's go. Don't peak too early if you're feeling good because you don't want to, surge and then just fall flat into the finish line. And then try and find someone like your pace, maybe a click ahead if you're starting to see like I'm catching that guy or that gal. Try and catch up to them a little bit and, make as much progress as you can onto that person. And hey, if you got to pass them, jump on to the next one, and kind of keeps you like leapfrogging. Or like my last race, I found somebody who I was a pretty sustainable pace. I thought actually was a little bit quicker than I wanted to run that race. But we started to talking on the run, pushing each other, and man, we crushed the run. basically I remember 3 or 4 running times with running in my endurance time now where I've linked up with somebody on the run. We were close in pace, and we shared some experience together out there, and it was like that transcending performance at that time. It was really awesome. I've had it now on a couple half marathons, one at the end of a 70.3, one on that Olympic race recently, where I find something we just lock in and we push each other the entire way, and you hope that you can last and get it done. It's just more fun, jump in like that. And then we're coming to the finish here. Finish line is here. You hear it, you see it, and the only thing I can tell you on this is unless you're going like, you've been looking at your watch, you had a pace plan, and you're like, man, I am so close to a PR or that milestone performance. Like it could be beating the 6 hour mark or the 5:30 mark, something like that you really wanted to do. If you just know like, hey, this is amazing, I'm doing great, or like, yeah, decent day, not bad. Like there's no really time goal. You're not like near anything like that. If there's a couple people in front of you, let them go. Let them get in there on the chute, or if you're feeling good, get around them. But when it's your time to cross the finish line, enjoy it. Find some space. Look behind you. If you got to let somebody run ahead for 10 seconds, that's fine, because smile. That picture is going to last a lifetime, especially if this is your first time doing this, or maybe you want to do this distance and you may not sure when you're going to do this distance again. This might be your big A race in the endurance world, and you want to savor it. You put all this time, energy, miles in, savor the finish line. And that brings me to just a couple more tips on it. When it sucks, it will at some points. You'll just be out there like, you're not just going to feel great for every hour, every minute out there. When it sucks, smile, enjoy it. Enjoy this victory lap. You've been through these before. Remember all those training sessions. Like if you're out on the bike and you're like, man, I'm 45 miles in, I still got 11 more miles to go, whatever it is. Just think back at all those trainer rides, the ride you did, 3 hours, 60 miles, like on tired legs after a week of work, and you just didn't want to do it. You had to wake up early. This is why we're doing it. This is why we're out there, and that's why we're going to get it done today. And you just got to remember, be grateful, gratitude out there. When you're down, lift somebody else up. I love doing that when it's just like you're feeling the hurts, and you see somebody, run up to you and they're next to you, just be like, man, you're crushing it. You're looking good out there. And they're going to reciprocate. They're going to give you something back. Like, yeah, man, I've been chasing you for the last 3 miles. And you're like, oh, cool. Like, and it just gives you that little bit of, just camaraderie out there. Just even with perfect strangers, it really is pretty amazing out there. And you'll probably link up and talk to some people even out there on the run. And it's pretty awesome. Control the controllables. One of the last things here is, again, this is all well and good. I'll visualize this race, and that's why I wrote it out. I was basically visualizing the race and just writing out my thoughts. I'll visualize this a few more times. I'll kind of meditate on it one more big time tomorrow night or the following night. And I'm okay, especially at this point. I've done a lot of these distances already where I'm going to control what I can control. I can't control other things. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to get upset, but don't let your emotions control the day. You head out on mile 1 or 56 and get a flat tire. Take a deep breath. It happens. It happens to a lot of people. God forbid you have a wreck. God forbid your stomach goes sour. These are some things that we can't control, but you can control how you respond to it. You can control how you deal with that adversity, and it's going to tell a hell of a story if you're able to get back up or push through that and still get to that finish line. I always have 3 goals for my races. Usually it's A is always, let's get to the finish line. God willing, God helping, I'm going to get there regardless if I can. If I got feet, I'm getting there. Number 2, might have some type of time goal that I'm really, shooting for, that I think I should be able to do based off my training. Like, hey, I think I can do X, Y, and Z because of the training and the work that I put in and the paces I hit in training. Then you could always have that stretch goal, that push goal, whether that's you trying to shoot for a PR or something like that. Think of it that way. And then when you get through that finish line, just walk it off. Eat, drink, embrace it, have fun with it. I always tell people, don't re-register for races right away. Give it a little bit, because maybe you want to do something different next year, or go, plan your year a little different. We just get that that post race, oh my God, I need to just put something on the calendar. That was fun, and I didn't sign up for it, but it kind of may box you out of some other things. So especially if you're looking to be coached or coached again or stay with the coaching, that's something you should talk about, is planning your race for next year. And I got a lot of questions on pacing. We can come up with pacing plans, but pacing plans also tend to deal a lot with intermediate and more advanced athletes that have done the distance a few times before and they're shooting for PRs. We can talk about what your paces were in training, but it also is very it's heart rate really, and your effort level is always is front and center with these, and that's why I always say it's important to have consistent and accurate data through all your training, is because we need to know what your heart rate does on certain days and where it is good on these long runs, so that we can give you guidance on these and say, yeah, when you get to the half marathon, make sure your heart rate doesn't really climb above this. You got to keep it below so you're not burning your legs out or using too much energy or producing too much lactate that your body can't clear, or if it's really hot out, like your pace is going to suffer. So if I gave you a pace to do, and then all of a sudden that race became really hot, you're going to be like, but he said I should be able to hit this pace. But if you were looking at your heart rate, you'd be able to tell that your body is having trouble cooling yourself, and that you'd be able to say, all right, today's not the day that I'm going to be able to hold that pace, but I know if I keep my heart rate below a certain amount, I can keep this effort level going forward. So again, even on race day, it's super important to get good, accurate data on race day. So make sure you charge your wearables, charge your power meter, switch out batteries, heart rate monitors, they're cheap batteries, swap them out the race week of, make sure your watch is charged. You need to have all that in check and in line. And again, you've been through the swim distance, the bike distance, the run distance in training. You've done these at training intensities, which typically tend to be a little slower overall than your race day. You were doing those workouts on really fatigued and tired systems and bodies, and maybe a little depleted from the week already, energy-wise. And now we've had some time to peak into this. This should be our peak performance. You want to lay it all out there, and the best paced race is kind of crossing that finish line and really not having much left and having crossed it well. You don't want to have too much left in the tank, because then you're going to be like, I could have did a lot better effort. But you also don't want to crash and burn with 4 or 5 miles left on the run, or even 2 miles left on the run, when you're like, I totally didn't pace myself today. I don't know why I went out like that. All of you, basically anybody who's done great consistent training this year, if you even just hit your paces you've hit on your key long runs, bikes, and swims, you're going to have an amazing day. We're just putting it all together and adding a little bit of effort into it, and for this distance, and you're going to have an amazing day. And we're going to set some standards. We're going to set some new times there. I feel it. You're going to do amazing. So I hope to see you all down at the expo, especially for this race. And I hope you all got something out of this. This was my visualization that I wanted to walk through. And it'll help me too, just as much as hopefully it helps you. And that's it. I'm going to see you there. It's almost game time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and just keep balancing that life 1 mile at a time.